The Nessie is one of Apex's longest running Easter eggs, and every time you see one of these, you think of Apex, honestly. But a lot of you probably don't know just how many times Respawn have added a Nessie Easter egg, because it's been going on for 5 years right now, and there's even one Nessie Easter egg literally nobody knows about. So let's go over all the Nessie Easter eggs in Apex, starting off with the very first one on Kings Canyon. Basically, when Apex first came out, there was loads of hidden Nessies over Kings Canyon, which is a theme for Apex. Every time they add a new map, there are hidden Nessies everywhere. The thing is, with the first batch of Nessies that were added to the game, if you shot them, they would disappear and display a hit marker. And if you shot all of the Nessies on the map in a certain order, it would spawn a giant Nessie off the side of the map. Surprisingly, throughout some of Kings Canyon's updates, Respawn did still keep support for this Easter egg, but I don't think it works anymore now. Another aspect of the Nessie Easter egg that Respawn have been keeping up for years now is hiding Nessies in the story from the Outland animations. And literally, in most of the story from the Outlands, there is some sort of hidden Nessie somewhere. Usually it's really tucked into the background, but most of the time you can see them. And Respawn do still keep this one up to this day. After realizing people really enjoyed Easter egg hunting the Nessies, Respawn started adding more. Like in Season 5, in the Broken Ghost story mission where you rebuilt Ash, you could also find a hidden Nessie. This continued with their new map releases as well. Respawn continued the theme of hiding Nessies everywhere. And even on World's Edge, there were some more sad Easter eggs to developers' dogs who had unfortunately passed away. Once again, these Easter eggs still exist to this day. With Olympus, Respawn got really sneaky with one of the Nessie Easter eggs. They actually hid a Nessie in the Phase Runner, and this was one of the hardest Nessies to find in Apex, and it took people over a year to find it because you simply really struggle to see it unless you record you going through the Phase Runner and slow it down. When Season 9 came out, Respawn got super serious about the Nessie Easter eggs, and this is where they really ramp up. In Season 9, Respawn added a Wattson emote where she drops a Nessie, so this allowed people to create their own Nessie Easter eggs, but they also added a load of arena maps with the release of arenas, and therefore loads of hidden Nessies across the arena maps. One of the more famous ones is the Nessie hidden in Overflow, where you could only find this Nessie by using certain abilities to get up to a higher area. These Easter eggs would continue on the arena maps until Respawn stopped releasing arena maps, and then eventually removed arenas, although some arena maps are used in the mixtape mode. When Stormpoint released, Respawn got really creative with the hidden Nessies. First of all, there was one that you had to drop off the side of a mountain to find, and it came with another dog picture, which was once again a memorial to a developer's pet dog, but there were also sand Nessies on Stormpoint, which are really easy to run past because they are very camouflaged, and on top of that, one most people haven't seen are the stone Nessies on Stormpoint, which are just Nessies hidden in the stone because they're using a stone texture instead of their normal green texture. And trust me, later in the video, the Stormpoint Nessie Easter eggs get crazy. Moving on though, after Stormpoint came out, the Wattson Heirloom came out, which had an Easter egg inspect animation where she pulls out the biggest Nessie ever, and this Nessie will make a return later on. And in an event following this, there was a Nessie holo spray that just says okay, which is a reference to this manga panel, and this is one of the most famous Nessie holo sprays. I'm sure you know why. This next Nessie Easter egg is honestly one of the most wholesome ones, because when Broken Moon came out, a lot of people noticed that there was a family of Nessies just chilling, watching the sunset, and people didn't realize the significance until a developer came out on Twitter and said, "My fiance and I had a kid during the time I was working on the map, so I put 2 adult Nessies and 1 baby." And he also hinted that there were more Nessies on Broken Moon, but we're focusing on the family Nessies right now, because unfortunately when the newest Broken Moon update came out, it actually destroyed this area, so the family of Nessies no longer exists. Luckily though, the same developer did clarify that the family of Nessies packed up before the impact destroyed backup Atmo, and they moved to Quarantine Zone. And they are living right now in this little zipline area, which is pretty wholesome. I'm glad they survived, because imagine if a family of Nessies just got killed. Not fun. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the Nessie Easter eggs through the firing range Nessies though, because if you're not aware, when the new version of the firing range got released in Season 17, it added a load of Nessies that you could pick up throughout the map. And then people started realizing, if you did certain actions in certain ways, it would spawn special Nessies. For example, if you throw a throwing knife directly up in the air and it lands on this dummy here, it will spawn a Nessie right here. Or if you visit every single named area in the firing range, it will spawn a Nessie right here. Or maybe if you kill 100 dummies, it will spawn this Nessie right here. But within all these special Nessies, there were 2 very special Nessies that took us absolutely ages to find. First of all, we had the jump tower Nessie that took us a long time to find because it turns out you have to put Nessies in a circle and then spawn a jump tower in the middle of them to activate the jump tower Nessie. And then we had this Nessie right here, which is the Titanfall Nessie, and this one was extremely hard to find and took us nearly a year. No help to Respawn's teasers, by the way. Respawn tried to tease the way to find this Nessie, but nobody clocked it. Just nobody realized what they meant by this teaser right here. Because it turns out, to activate this Nessie, you need to shoot a target with first of all weapons exclusively from Titanfall 1, and then weapons released in Titanfall 2, and then weapons released in Apex Legends, including Legend ability weapons. And then after all that, a Nessie will drop from the sky like a Titan, and you will have it. This one took us absolutely ages to find, and honestly, I'm convinced to this day we only found it through pure chance and kind of obsession. Seriously, there were people hanging out in Discords for days, including me, trying to find this thing. If we go back to simple Nessie Easter eggs though, when Horizon's Heirloom came out, that came with a really simple Nessie Easter egg where basically there was a random chance that this inspect animation, instead of looking like this, would have a Nessie being sucked in instead. So it was a hidden animation within a pretty rare animation, making it, I think, the second Heirloom to have a Nessie related animation, although I could well be wrong. I mean, it won't beat Wattson's Nessie Heirloom animation. Speaking of Wattson though, she did bring more Nessie Easter eggs to the game with her town takeover. Her town takeover is on Storm Point, and in a bedroom there's actually a Nessie that you can pick up. But that's not the actual Easter egg. If you win a game with this Nessie in your inventory, on the end screen, Nessies will pop up and just say hi, and it will confuse your teammates and likely confuse anybody still spectating you. The crazy thing is, we didn't realize, but this Easter egg also works in Team Deathmatch. Granted, it is a bit harder in Team Deathmatch because you have to pick up the Nessie at the end of the game, otherwise if you die with the Nessie, it will completely despawn off the map. But if you win the game with the Nessie in your inventory, the end screen will look like this, and this is almost guaranteed to at least confuse somebody because somebody's got to be looking at that end screen. This next Nessie Easter egg though, not many people know about it because I've only seen 2 people make videos about it, and one of them is a Spanish YouTuber. Basically, this Nessie is on the Thunderdome map, and it's really hard to get because on the Thunderdome map there are 20 potential Nessie spawns, but only 1 spawns at a time, and to activate this Nessie glitch, you have to kill 10 of the Nessies, which means you have to constantly check 20 spawn points for the chance of 1 Nessie spawning there and destroy 10 of them before the game on Thunderdome ends. But if you manage this, a giant Nessie will appear over Thunderdome, and not many people have talked about this at all. Literally, I've seen hardly any people talk about it. Luckily, if you want to try to attempt this yourself, Rusty Squirrel did make a map of all the Nessies, but this one is extremely hard, and I've attempted it many times and failed. Recently though, we did get a Nessie Easter egg that was eventually removed from the game because Respawn had no use for it, and this Nessie Easter egg was actually the teaser for Alter. Basically, at the end of Season 20, a lot of people started noticing there was a big Nessie in the firing range. Not many people knew the use of it until someone threw it through a portal. And when this Nessie is thrown through a portal, it doesn't come out the other side, but a small box from the Chinese game Mahjong does come out instead. And this was actually a teaser to Alter because she is a Chinese legend. And that is pretty much every major Nessie Easter egg in the game. So are you going to go hunt for any now? And also subscribe if you like Nessie Easter eggs.